So our speaker today on the hashtag Virtual Presentation Friday is none other than Michael Holtzclaw. I will probably always butcher that name.
Yes, you
that
got it
last name.
right. That's awesome.
And he is going to be talking to us about creative ways to stay in touch during these unprecedented times. Michael, take it away. I am muting myself.
Hey, awesome. Hey, happy Friday, everyone. It's an honor to be on this Zoom call with Micah. I've known Micah for a long time, and you know, you usually know it's Micah by the suit that he has on, and I'm going to ask it. He's going to show that one. That thing actually came with shorts, and I finally got the website today that he's been out and doing me on these suits, so I'm going to have to get me a few of those. So today we're going to talk about creative ways of staying in contact, right? This COVID, you know, whether you think it caught us by surprise or it didn't, we know that lots of us had systems in places to weather the storm. Some of us didn't. But a little bit about me. I've been in senior living. This is my 17th year. Prior to that, I spent 10 years in the Navy. As an admiral's assistant, had just an awesome time in the Navy. I got to spend most of that time in Naples, Italy. So I've been, you know, the opportunity to actually live in Italy was pretty magical for me. I do speak fluent Italian. I get asked that a lot. It's fun to go to an Italian restaurant and be able to use that. Not in South Carolina, because most of the Italian restaurants here, they only speak English. But I got out of the Navy not knowing what I was going to do. I knew I had a marketing degree, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to try and use this somehow, and became a director of sales with Brookdale way back then, and have since done a lot of different things. You know, when I look back over my 17 years, and I think all the positions that I've been blessed to have, companies that I've worked for, a lot of you on this screen, I've either worked for, worked with, collaborated somehow. Roger Gore being one of them. My partners on here and boss Holly Bauer. You know, you meet people along the way that forever change your life. And, you know, if you're a relational guy like me and you pour everything into those, you take a little bit of that person with you, whether you stay with that company or not. And, you know, I look back at my journey, and, you know, I try to live by that slogan, no regrets. And I look back at my journey to where I am today. And, you know, maybe you make a couple of bad decisions along the way. And, you know, you look back though, and you think, God, I wouldn't change anything because I love where I am right now. And I hope that's the case for all of you. And, you know, as I'm looking at the screen, I have multiple screens to try and navigate to see you. So I'll try not to do that because it can be quite distracting. I know probably 90% of the people on this call, and that's super cool because we can get on this. First of all, it's very humbling to me. And I know to Micah that at 11 o'clock on a Friday, you would give us an hour of your time. And so I'm very appreciative of that. And I think Carla sent in a message that said she's looking Friday today, so she wasn't there turning on her video. We may all look Friday waist down. We just don't know that, right? Because you know, you only seeing us right here. But you know what? Happy Friday. Hopefully you had a great 4th. And that, you know, you're able to have a great weekend that's coming up. And so again, thanks for being on this call. Where am I currently? I get asked that a lot. You may follow me on LinkedIn. If you follow anything I post on LinkedIn, you can't not know that I work with Blue Ridge Pharmacy. And Holly, who's on here, some of you on here are clients of ours or people that we collaborate with. And I do get asked probably twice a week, Michael, why did you get out of senior living and go into pharmacy? And you know what? Here's my true heartfelt answer to that. I didn't get out of senior living at all. I elected a way that I personally could better serve senior living. And it's so awesome to sell a product that I was once a customer of. Blue Ridge Pharmacy was my pharmacy when I was with other companies and as an operator. And they just impressed me that much that when the opportunity arose for me to represent them, I jumped on board all in. So, it's cool to be able to sell a product that you once were a recipient of, because there's just so much more buy-in. So let's talk about connectivity. First of all, I assume probably 100% of you on here have some sort of LinkedIn presence. And my chat today, I'm not going to bore you with a PowerPoint. I speak on, several of these a week, and sometimes there's a PowerPoint, but today I really just wanted it to be us and it just to be, very transparent and real. So no boring PowerPoints. It's my presentation is going to really kind of be twofold. I'm going to talk about the power of connectivity, also the power of positive selling. So it's going to be how to stay connected, positive selling. I'm going to talk about some apps that we use, that I use, that Holly and I use. They're not meant as commercials, but by all means, if an app clicks with you, reach out to the person. They may be on here, or Google them or whatever, and maybe get that app for yourself. I'm only going to describe what has worked really well for me and our team, me personally. And you may agree or disagree with some of the things that I say, and that's okay too. So let's start with the power of connecting. And I am what I consider myself, and all the personality tests that I've taken over the years deem me a relational seller. And, in sales, I believe there's two types of sales. There's a relational sale and there's a transactional sale. And, I really believe that in senior living, the best type of those two to be successful is a relational sale. We build relationships. And whether I was selling apartments in a building, selling very expensive independent living, or selling Blue Ridge Pharmacy, people want to know that you care about them genuinely, not just trying to make a deal. And so hopefully what I want you to be able to tell about yourself, and maybe jot it down, which one of those two are you today? Because what that'll give you the opportunity to do is to really self-evaluate. If you're on here and you're in sales, which I think probably looking really fast, 80% of us are you transactional or are you relational? Because the techniques that you utilize are way different. And so that's kind of my first point today. Hopefully you can quickly determine which one of those you are. And if you've ever taken your Strength Finders test, hopefully a lot of you have, that's very eye-opening to what type of salesperson you are. And it'll, I know my top 3 sales strengths, and we won't go into those. But so today we'll be highly focused on relationship selling and how to stay connected to people. We all know that we all want to be connected with other humans, right? We all have this innate desire in us to feel connected, to feel important, and to feel wanted, and a sense of belonging. If you've ever been in a role that you didn't feel like you belonged, it's difficult, right? And now that we all get forced into this work from home role, and if you just raise your hand real quick, I think I can see most of you quickly. Prior to COVID-19, how many of you were working from home in some way already? Lots of us. I know I have been. I've worked from home for a long time. I talk to a lot of people in the morning or in the evenings who have been forced into this work from home role, and they really don't know how to handle it. If you don't have a plan, it's super easy to get distracted, and because your house is constantly telling you to do things. But we all have this sense of belonging, and now even more so that we're all isolated. We're not going into office space, and we're not going into places where there are other humans other than our families. And unfortunately, COVID has been the catalyst for a lot of divorces. that especially if you read the Hollywood divorces of the people that have gotten divorced. But let's talk about, hopefully you were able to jot down what type of sales individual you are, transactional or relational. Next, let's talk about the platforms that you use to stay connected. Um, uh, Probably the majority of you have a LinkedIn, and that's where I'm going to focus here in the beginning. When I first started using LinkedIn, probably, I don't know, 8 years ago, I didn't really know what I was doing. Most people, a lot of folks still don't know what they're doing and how to maximize your reach on LinkedIn and what is it for? Are there rules to this thing? Is it like an Instagram? Is it like Facebook? And you see a lot of people get scolded because they'll say this doesn't belong on this platform. Get it off, put it on link, put that on Facebook. What I'm going to tell you is your first step. And again, this platform today is focused on professional communication. You can figure out how to stay connected with your family or not talk to them if you don't want to, but we're talking about how to professionally stay connected. And so you have to first think about two things. What company do you represent? Hopefully you know that answer. Secondly, what is that company's platform? Are you in a clinical space? Are you selling a community? Are you selling a service? Are you a vendor? Are you in the tech space? Are you in the editorial space? You have to own what the space is that you're in, right? And because if you don't, and again, we're coming from the premise of you communicating. If you're a salesperson, you cannot rely on your company to do all the hunting for you. That's what, if you're in a sales role, that's what they hired you to do. And sometimes if I'm coaching folks offline in the evenings, I hear that a lot. My company just doesn't market well. My company doesn't bring me leads. That's on you, folks. If you're in a sales role or you're in a regional role, and don't push that down, right? Own your part of that space. So you have to own what it is, the platform that you're on. And I know Cheryl Slavinsky's on here who's moderated tons of platforms and subject matters. And when people don't own their subject matter, you can see it very quickly. And I promise you, in a sales communication platform, if you don't own the subject that you're talking about, you do not get validated in the eyes of the person that you're trying to sell to. They often see right through it that you're either scripted, you memorized what you were going to say. That just depletes every bit of relational selling, right? So you have to come up and own the platform of the product that you're selling. And again, we're not all selling products on here. I get it. We're selling, apps. We're selling space. We're selling public relations. Maybe some of you are regionals and you got people that operate under you, and we'll talk about that in a minute. Maybe you're selling a service and you're a vendor. Doesn't matter. The techniques that master that are the same. So then you have to create your own brand. And I am in no way, hear this disclaimer, I am in no way telling you that I'm an expert at that. I don't have that little blue check mark by my name that says I'm a superstar. I'm just speaking from the heart of what has worked for me, and for business and for lifetime relationships. LinkedIn has been very good to me on that. I have my pipeline currently that Holly and I have is swollen thanks to LinkedIn. And so what you have to do, and there's a fine line of transparency there of what I'm about to tell you. So in the line of staying communicated, specifically in a pandemic of this sort where we can't get in front of people, now you have to create almost a brand of yourself, okay? Where that brand is tied to your company, but that when people see Cheryl or Hillary or Roger or Laura, Holly, anybody on this call, that they almost simultaneously at the same time think of your company, right? And you have to be careful with that, because at the same time, anything that you communicate is going to then shadow your company. So, you have to be thoughtful of, and, I really have this filter that I use, even though, right? And there's been a lot of people on social media, on LinkedIn included, that it doesn't end up real well for them because they didn't filter well, right? So I try to use the filter. And again, we'll get to some more granular stuff here in a second. Of, if I'm going to post this post, I ask myself 3 questions. Am I okay if my CEO sees it? Am I okay if my family sees it? And am I okay for my friends to see it? Right? If it usually meets those 3 for me, I think, okay, this is pretty safe. And then the last question I ask is, what reflection will this have on my company, which is now Blue Ridge, right? So for all the places that you work, you have to build. I don't know if Rachel's on here, Rachel Wonderling. Mike, is Rachel on here? She might not able to get on. Rachel and I have been friends a while. If you follow her, Rachel has this thing, and she has just since owned it, and we joke about it now. Like she does every video in the car from behind the steering wheel. So when you see that steering wheel up, that's going to be Rachel. And I'm not telling everybody to video behind the car, right? And I've seen to have gotten this tag on me that you always have water or some beautiful woods or some kind of scenery behind you. My own CEO jokes about it. But you have to find, I was on a call earlier that we were talking about this same thing. I'm just going to call it your flavor, because that's just the word I like to use. You have to find your personal flavor that works for you, that comes across as genuine, right? You have to find your flavor. We all have that favorite flavor of ice cream, and maybe that's you. Maybe I like Neapolitan because sometimes I can't decide, and with Neapolitan you just get all 3, right? Or you may be very descriptive. I like salted caramel. So if you look at it from an ice cream perspective, you got to find your flavor. Secondly, you have to make that brand yours so that it ties in with who you are as an individual, and who you're representing, and or what product. I know some of you on here are personal consultants. That takes a little bit of a different twist, because you're constantly representing yourself. So I know a ton of you who I talk to offline, you're terrified of the camera, right? Which is why people even have trouble getting on Zoom. I would tell you to just get rid of the fear of the camera. And again, that's part of being genuine. I know people that, they shoot their LinkedIn videos and they make 3, 4, 5 cuts of it, and they just edit the hound out of it. I typically shoot mine in 1 cut because I want you to see the real me. Oh, I didn't say the right word. Let me go back. That's what connects with people. Remember, relationship selling is just that, building relationships. And people want to know you. People want to know you as an individual, because so many times in relational communication, which is what we'll call it, they buy you before they ever buy your company. Okay. And so I'm going to encourage you to try, if you haven't ever done it, to make your first LinkedIn video. Michael tell you the first one he ever made, he was terrified. I was terrified. I don't even remember now what my first one was, but I'm sure it was horrible, but you did it. A lot of you on here, we've joked at conferences. I don't even like my photo taken. You guys will say, I'm not even getting on a video. Holly and I have done some videos and that are just hilarious, and we go back and laugh at them. But I want to encourage you, if you've never done it, make you a 20-second video and put yourself out there. That's part of staying highly networked and highly communicated in this pandemic specifically. You got to put yourself out there. It's the same thing that I just said a minute ago. Don't blame your company because they don't market well. I hear this a lot. I didn't meet my sales quota because my company does a terrible job at marketing. Then take it over, right? Market you, sell you. And if you do a great job at selling yourself, it's so easy to sell the product because they've already believed you. So make that video. The next thing I want to talk about LinkedIn, if you want to really grow, because this is a heavy LinkedIn conversation today. If you really want to grow your ability to stay connected to people and you want to be able to really excel at that LinkedIn algorithm. So let's go ahead and put that out there. There's, a lot of people believe or not believe that, oh, LinkedIn has an algorithm. I'm going to promise you they do. LinkedIn is an artificial intelligence platform, okay, that has all these servers mitigating data the minute you post, okay? That's why sometimes you get pulled. LinkedIn will pull your video, or they'll pull your comment, or they'll just delete your account and you get locked, right? So there is an algorithm, and if I've personally been on calls with people from LinkedIn to try and understand that. There's an algorithm, there's this whole philosophy of when to post, when not to post. But the one thing that I want you to get from this call about LinkedIn and growing your network and how do you grow what they call my LinkedIn stock, you have to comment with other people. I see people all the time who do nothing but post, 4 and 5 pieces of content a day, and they never like anything, they never comment on anything. You guys know, right, in the SEO world, how Google will punish you if you're not optimized correctly and you just continue to drop on your Google rankings, right? It's the same thing with LinkedIn. LinkedIn, though it is a professional platform, it is a professional social platform that was built around business networking. And if all you do is post, you will never show up on people's feed. You will go to the bottom. LinkedIn, I promise you, you can buy a book if you want. LinkedIn monitors how often you comment with someone else. And the street way of understanding that, right, is LinkedIn looks at you as selfish if all you do is post and you don't want to engage with anyone else. So again, a lot of people just click likes. I like, I love, celebrate. That doesn't count. I'm telling you guys, if you want to use LinkedIn for business and you want to grow your business through that platform, and for Holly and I right now, that's one of our easiest ways because we can't get into a lot of buildings. But I can send you a private message and I can send you other things that I'm going to tell you about in a minute. But and I promise you right now, people that wouldn't answer you this time last year because of the pandemic, they will actually write you back now because they're sitting at home trying to talk to people themselves. But I want to encourage you, if you want to see your value on LinkedIn increase, make those videos, post original content that you have come up with yourself, and make comments. It doesn't take that long to leave a comment, but that is what they're looking for, that you are actually doing what, if you're a regional person, we use this word all the time, and it's engagement. You constantly tell your employees to engage with their leads. And that's what LinkedIn is looking for, is your engagement with people, including the people that you're trying to target, right? If you want to show up in their feed, comment on their posts. And the more you comment, the more that person's feed you will show up on. The other piece that I've been using for a while now, and Holly's going to be bringing our company on. And again, what I'm going to say right now is not a commercial. I wasn't asked to say this, so this is just me. One of the pieces that have been very successful to me as a person is we use sales mail. And I know Hillary's on here. She didn't ask me to say that. Sales mail is a tool that allows me, if you don't know what it is, I would encourage you to Google it after this. If you like it, get it. If you don't. Again, Hillary didn't pitch me to say this. I'm talking from Michael Holtzclaw, okay? It's one of the easiest ways to stay connected and know that you connected, right? We all wonder, I sent an email, where did it go? They didn't write me back. They're ghosting me on text message. And we all try to find these products, and there's lots of products, right? Sales Mail is just the one I like, and it's, to me, the easiest to use. I think a blind monkey could probably do it. You know, so, and what the way I use Sales Mail, if I've emailed you, right, and you don't write me back, everybody is looking. This is what part of what this platform is about, right? Creative ways to stay connected. And what if you're pitching to C-suite people and you're pitching to prospects, your prospects are wanting you to be creative as well. They're tired of the same old emails, right? So when I got Sales Mail several months ago, and I've been watching my own data, right? People that wouldn't respond to me, I send them a Sales Mail video, they're opening it in like 10, 20 seconds, right? And the cool part about it, again, you can look on the website. I don't want this to be too commercially, but I shoot a 30, 60-second video on my phone, goes through their app. They put all our logos on it. There's my logo at the top, my contact information on the bottom. It goes to that person's inbox. But what is critical about that application is the data on the back end, right? I get to see that they opened it, when they opened it. I even get to see where they were when they opened it, like the GPS location of where they were. Did they watch the video? And talk about ways to be creative after you know that, right? If I know you didn't open it, man, I know you're really ghosting me, so I got to change plans. If I know you opened it and you watched the video, I had somebody just last Friday, and again, you got to figure out your right way, right? This is your story. You know, you can't be me, I can't be you. You have to use your story. I had a C-suite person that I knew had been watching me on LinkedIn. We've been trying to get them as a Blue Ridge client. You know, I pay for different analytics on LinkedIn so I can see things. You know, they're constantly looking at my profile, but they wouldn't respond on LinkedIn. I popped them a Sales Mail last Friday. In 60 seconds, they had opened it, shared it with 15 people inside their company, and guess who called me? It got his attention. So again, if you're in the business of sales, it's all about getting someone's attention. And you know, we're in this pandemic. I can't wave a flag. I can't really bring you tchotchkes and all those things. So again, Sales Mail is a tool that we use that really gets people's attention. I think there was a question, Micah. Can you pop that back up, and we'll just address that as we go. Guys, you're feel free to ask questions as we go. We're going to try and give about 10 minutes at the end for kind of an open forum. Or Micah, you can unmute if you remember what it was. I know it was a LinkedIn question. And
yeah, it was, they had a question about LinkedIn being useful when your target market are social workers and case managers and nurses at hospitals, SNFs, and doctors' offices. Because, you know, it's sometimes they don't have the time to get on LinkedIn or utilize it. So, you know, they don't see most of those folks on LinkedIn regularly. So what would you recommend for that if you want to answer that now?
Perfect. Great question. Listen, again, you got to be part new school and you got to be part old school. I know that everybody isn't on LinkedIn, the entire world, or all of our prospects aren't on LinkedIn. So what I do, again, if I know you're not on LinkedIn, the first time I target you, you're not on LinkedIn. Okay, boom. Do I have your email address? How am I going to really network with that? Social workers are a great example. They're so swamped. If they have a LinkedIn account, they never get on. That's when you got to go old school methods. The one thing I can tell you that still works like concrete, it's like dynamite, is a handwritten note. And you might say, God, Mike, that's not creative communicating. It is, because nobody does it anymore. The times that I've sat and got an actual pen and wrote a note, they call me every time. Well, I can't say every time because that's probably a lie, but 9 out of 10 times that person is going to call me in some fashion, communicate with me. I throw my business card in there. Maybe I throw a gift card. You know, a lot about sales and communicating creatively is what I just said a minute ago, catching that person off guard and getting their attention. You have to figure out a way, how do I stand out against the 3, 4, 5, 6 guys or girls that I'm competing with? I promise you, if you have someone that isn't on LinkedIn and you've been trying to get their attention, right? I go to Walmart. My cards aren't even branded Blue Ridge, right? Because you come off then as super salesy, right? You don't want to be that walking commercial all the time. My cards have nothing Blue Ridge on them because that's the other thing I hear. Well, I don't have any company branded cards. You don't want them, right? You don't want the envelope to have your company brand on it because then they're for sure not going to. So my cards have an M. They just have an M on the outside. I handwrite a note. Sometimes I throw, man, you throw a $10 Chick-fil-A gift card in there, you automatically became their best friend for life, right? Because why did I send that gift card? They didn't ask for it. They don't understand why they got it. It's, you know, Roger and I used to have to do this practice when he and I were working together, selling high-end IL. We called it red carpet treatment. You have to figure out how to red carpet somebody before you've ever met them. And you want to get their attention and you want to make them feel special. So again, it's not about spending a ton of money, because I hear that too. I don't have a large marketing budget. You don't need one, right? So all you do is you write that handwritten note, you throw a $5, $10 lunch card in there, you got their attention, and I guarantee you'll get the meeting. So, you know, my answer to that, hey, they're not on LinkedIn, you probably have their email, and I guarantee you know where they work, and you put their name on it. You know, old school mail still works. We still have a post office. They still get mail. That it's going to get to them. You don't ask for anything in your note either. You don't say, hey, I'm trying to do business with you. Can I set up a meeting? Nope. You just say, you know, last time I targeted a social worker, I thanked them for their hard work. I know you guys stay swamped. You have way more cases than you're supposed to. Go have lunch on me. And you throw that card in there and you're done. And you got their attention. Roger Gore asked, do you think LinkedIn Premium is worth it? I say yes if your heavy target market is on there. LinkedIn Premium gives you the opportunity to send unlimited messages. You're not limited on the number of in-mails that you can see. But also you got to understand how to use the back end data. If you don't like data, you know, it's probably not worth it. The other thing I joke with people, if you're going to hyperventilate over who's viewed your profile, I wouldn't get LinkedIn Premium, because you will go nuts trying to figure out, why did that person look at me? And I make jokes about that, right? Because I have friends of mine that are like, I can't stop looking at who's looking at me. So if that's going to derail you, and I was like that at first when I got on, like, oh God, 22 people looked at me this morning. Let me see who it is. And then you're like, it might be somebody that you don't even like. Let's be honest, we don't like everybody, right? And then you start on this whole rabbit trail. God, I don't like Randy. Why is he looking at my profile? God, right? And then you try to figure out why. So if you're that person, don't get premium, because it will drive you nuts. But if you do like data and you're tactical and you're strategic, LinkedIn Premium, again, I'm speaking from me, you know, it's worth it. If you know how to use it correctly, and you're going to if you just want LinkedIn to be on there and post stuff, and you don't tie it in with your brand and not selling you and creating your story, it's probably not worth it, because you can do that without the premium. But if you're what I call a heavy hunter, if your job is to hunt and it's also to gather, Holly and I are hunters and gatherers, LinkedIn Premium is worth your time. You know, a lot of the old school methods that a lot of us left behind, that I still embrace, they still work. And the second one, outside of a handwritten note, that I'll tell you works is a phone call. I'm not a fan of cold calling, though I do it. I'm not a fan of it, because it has its own set of tactics that you should do and not do. But a good old genuine phone call, if you're at that part in your relationship with your prospect or lead that you can call them, I promise you, just a good old phone call works. Not a sales call, right? I know somebody just posted, and I agree with you. I hate, and everybody on here is probably going to say yes. If you do it, I'm not trying to offend you, but stop. Don't you hate it when you connect with somebody on LinkedIn and in about 60 seconds you get this 9-paragraph private message that's selling you on stuff that you didn't even ask for, right? They don't know you, they haven't talked to you, and all of a sudden, hey, you want to sign up for this content? I get, probably because of Holly and I's roles, I get 20, 25 private messages a day from people that I don't know, products that I didn't ask for, and they blowing me up, want to sell me leads, write content for me. Hey, we're this new app. No, that is transactional selling at its best. So again, relationship selling. Somebody just said a cool thing. Let me see if I can pull it up about phone calls. Yeah, somebody's talking about gift cards. Yeah, you do have to be careful. That's a great point in the social services world, with the anti-kickback law. So do be careful about that. Sometimes I've volunteered my services to come and help a social worker, and they've let me come and file papers for them. Times have changed, but that's a great point. Hillary, I think you said phone calls are now an unusual approach. Guys, it all goes back to what we're talking about today. People want to feel connected. And I can promise you, whether they're a social worker, physicians are very difficult to get to. All those things are tough. But people want to feel that you care about them as a person. Someone else said, not sorry, no, I don't take that disrespectful, Julie, at all. It's the truth. The last thing you want to do is put yourself in an opportunity where someone can say, you were being unfair because you were giving everybody Chick-fil-A every day, or you just have to be careful with that, truly. There's ways around all those things. We know that, but the main part of what I want you to hear today is relationship sales is you mastering the art of mastering your ability to care about people. If you don't like people, you might be in the wrong job, right? And what you have to be able to do is not care if they like you back, because everybody isn't going to like you. And I had to develop some thick skin. You guys might not believe it, man, but when I got out of the Navy, I was this shy, super quiet, really, I had real thin skin, want everybody to like me. And, I had to grow up and do some adulting in that realm, because, my job currently is to sell, obviously, Blue Ridge, but to sell myself as an individual that I'm trustworthy. I'm going to do what I tell you I'm going to do. But you know what? Even if you say, hey, Blue Ridge isn't the product for me, I'm still going to like you. We're going to build a relationship. I asked a lady, again, here's a real story, and this probably happens to you guys. I had been chasing a lead. She thought it was going to be her decision. This was several weeks ago. I had invited her to lunch. She said, I'd love to do lunch. And we hadn't went to lunch at that time, but she called me the following day and said, hey, Michael, I'm so sorry. I didn't know corporate was going to pull the rug out from under us, but corporate is now going to make the decision on what pharmacy we use. And she said, now I guess you don't want to do that lunch, do you? That's not the reputation that we want as salespeople, right? Because again, she said, I assume now that it's not my decision, you don't want to go to lunch anymore. What do you think I said back? We're going to lunch tomorrow, right? I mean, because again, eventually, here's what I know. Eventually, you're going to want me as your pharmacy. It might not be today. Your corporate might have took that back. But I don't care just about, am I going to get your business? I care about you as an individual. And if you guys are like me, I'm not I don't burn the bridge just because I can't, Michael, I'm not allowed to use your pharmacy. You don't want to go to lunch. Now you ain't got to take them for a $200 lobster dinner, right? But I mean, you have to care about the person. So that's what I want you to get. And you can do that through LinkedIn. You can do it through those handwritten notes. You can do it through a phone call, because what you have to be able to do in creative connectivity is for people to hear and experience your empathy, right? They don't want to hear, not your conceitedness, not your attitude. The way that you relationship sell and you master it is your ability to communicate your empathy for them, for what they do, for them as a person, for their pain points. Somebody just said it's very important to network. You never know who your next employer will be. That's a great statement. I'm not sure who wrote that, but that is on point. And I was on a Zoom again this morning, and a guy said it's not the suit that makes the difference, it's the fighter in the suit. You may have seen that before. I don't know who originally said that, but I wrote it down because that was kind of cool. It's not my business suit that does the fighting. It's the guy inside of it, or the woman inside the dress. And that's all of you. You know, we all have the ability to be successful. You got to block out the noise. And again, that's why I said in the beginning, you have to find what works for you. But the three things that I can tell you will work for anybody if you do it correctly: the handwritten note every time, communicating your empathy, and caring about them as a person relationally. That's what you have to be able to do. And as far as LinkedIn, again, you got to build your personal brand. The way I build my brand isn't the way Holly builds her brand, but what our brand should do is complement Blue Ridge Pharmacy. That's what it should do. So I get asked a lot of times. I know we're about 10 minutes till. You guys are hitting some great comments. And again, we could talk about this for hours on hours. And I know we're done at noon. And again, what works for me might not work for you. And I am in no means an expert. I just try to be real. I try to avoid politics. You won't see me talk about politics on LinkedIn. I don't talk about any of that. I talk about business. I talk about what I've done, who I met with today, etc. So be yourself, be genuine, be real. I get asked a lot, what books am I reading? I got 3 here. Again, this is not a commercial. There wasn't a commercial for Sales Mail. I was just telling you what we use and what has worked for Michael. The book I've read most recently that really changed about how I sell is this book by Michael Miller. He's on LinkedIn. He'll send you a copy. It's actually called exactly what we talked about today: Stop Selling and Start Caring. And it actually is down there, be bold and be different, because nobody cares anymore. I just want to sell. I just want to close the deal, right? This book is amazing. If you have people who are struggling with relational selling, this is a great book for them to understand how to care about somebody, because the sale will come if you just care. So that was a great one. The next one that I finished that really changed my life on being thankful and how I sell all around is this book here. Rudy's on LinkedIn as well. These are people that I've never met in person, y'all. Again, this is the power of LinkedIn and building true networks. These guys sent me these books for free. I don't know if they'll send you for free. They may make you pay, but I had developed strong personal relationships with these people. And I send people stuff, they send me stuff. But this book right here, I would have bought had he made me pay it, but it's called Game Changer. Rudy is from, I think it was El Salvador. Don't hold me to that. But this guy went from being one of the toughest gang members, thrown in jail, lost everything he had, and now he's probably the top car salesman / car owner in America. So that's a great book. It's a quick read. I mean, it's like I don't know, 109 pages. It just, at one point I had tears in my eyes when he was going, when he lost, I mean, lost it all. Uh, there's a critical point in his life where that happens, but I won't spoil it for you. And I just actually got this one in, and I'm only into chapter 2. If you've seen the movie The Wolf of Wall Street, how many of you have seen that? Just throw your hand up. Wolf of Wall Street. That was a real person. His name is Jordan Belfort, if you didn't know that. He is out of jail. He didn't spend his whole life in prison. He's since changed his life, obviously. And he has a book called right here. It's called The Way of the Wolf. Unfortunately, I don't like the title because it's not teaching you things that are illegal. But it's about mastering the art of persuasion, influence, and success. And the first couple of chapters I've read, this is on the New York Times best-selling list. So if there's any guy that I know that has sold better than anybody I follow, it was obviously the Wolf of Wall Street, because he was a billionaire. So again, I'm in chapter 2. Don't hold me to the rest of the contents, but so far it's pretty awesome. Mike, it's like 8 minutes left. I'll turn it over to you. Any questions? Again, guys, I know this wasn't heavy. It was just real time, real stuff that I do. And it was really nothing like catastrophically mind-blowing, I'm sure. But if you don't have my cell, I'll give it to you. I know most people on here, so I'm not afraid of giving that out. It's 864-607-5349. If you want to have a sidebar chat, maybe how to build your LinkedIn, what should my video be about, just call me, man. I love talking to people. Eventually our paths will cross again at some conference, and when we're able to do that in person. But again, my number is 864-607-5349. And Micah, let's do the questions, man.
And for those of you that weren't able to write that down so quickly, I will send, as always, a follow-up email with everybody's contact info on this call to everybody here, and Michael's information as well. So if you want to reach out to him, you can. For those on the screen, if you have a question for Michael while he's here, please raise your hand, and we will allow for questions. And those that are not sharing their screen, either make yourself visible or do the cool reaction icon and raise your hand that way.
While you're thinking about your questions, somebody asked, could I repeat the book titles? They are Game Changer, and again, Michael's recording this, by Rudy Tremino. The next one was Stop Selling, Start Caring, Michael Miller. And all of these are on Amazon, by the way, or you can hit the, you can't message Jordan Belfort, obviously, he's a celebrity, but Way of the Wolf, Straight Line Selling, and that is on Amazon. I think this was like $6. Thank you for the compliments. I've seen a lot of compliments flying by on the chat, that my personality shows and the things that I post. And nothing validates it more of when you post things that for people to say that, hey, we like your content, we enjoy it, we actually listen to it, we read it, and then the people to say that your personality shines through, whether you could ever be a Blue Ridge client or not. Nothing validates that more than getting those messages from you guys and your peers validating you. So thank you. This ain't even a snapshot of all of senior living, but it takes all of us to do what we do. And everybody on this call represents a different product, different company, a different sector, vertical. And the one thing I've learned, I was on a call 2 days ago with a C-suite group. The one thing I've learned through this COVID pandemic, whether you believe in it or not or whatever, senior living will have to morph where we spend less time competing against each other and we just spend time helping each other. Whether it's a competing community, a competing product, 2 sales consultants going at it, whatever, we have to find a way to work together. Because we're truly, if we break it down at a granular level, we're supposed to be here for the resident. We are in Blue Ridge. Somebody asked if are we in Virginia. We are already in Virginia. So thank you for that question. But guys, you know, even Holly and I, we don't spend a lot of time in resident facing, but we do what we do for the residents. Roger Gore, dynamic imaging. It's all about the resident. Sales mail. It's essentially about the resident. And so if you evaluate it that way, and that's what I've learned, that's what I've learned the most through COVID, is figuring out a way to work with even the people that you compete with. And that's how senior living has to morph out of this, is stop the blaming and start being on the same team, even if you represent similar products. We all win that.
Anybody else have any questions?
I see one.
Roger. Hold on, let me ask you to unmute yourself. There you go. Did you have a question?
Hey, you, Roger.
Wave.
I just wanted to say I'm jealous you have better suits than I do.
Yeah, you haven't seen all of them.
Not long. I'm getting one. Somebody asked what states are we in real quick. I'll point that out. We are in North Carolina, Tennessee, South Carolina, Georgia, and Virginia. That's our 5-state footprint. So thanks for asking that.
Anybody else had a question? I think I saw somebody raise a hand.
I did too. I thought I saw one.
Anybody else that's not sharing their screen? So real quick, I'm going to unmute the person that's on the phone. The caller that is 912-585-9175. Do you have any questions or comments?
I do not. Thank you, Micah.
Okay, who is this?
This is Samantha with Spring Hill.
Oh, hey!
All right.
Glad you could join us
We
on the
didn't know that
call.
was you.
Thanks, Samantha.
So guys, your homework, if there's not any questions, your homework.
Roger again, hold on.
There you go.
You're muted. I asked you to unmute yourself. There you go.
I do have a serious one this time. So, you know, obviously, like you said, I post on Facebook and stuff. That's more fun and family. And LinkedIn's more business. Where do you draw the line on, you know, trying to have fun on LinkedIn? Because obviously we want to have some fun on it too and keep it business. Like, any advice there?
Yeah, totally. You know, we actually decided as a company, we spent less time on Facebook. We kind of just gave that up. You know, you really got to analyze, Roger. And I'm talking professionally now, not personally, whatever. I don't have a Facebook personally. I just don't need it. We looked at where is our target market most likely spending the most of their time, whether they have a Facebook or Instagram or whatever. We looked at from a professional lens, and it just made sense for us as Blue Ridge to spend more of our time, which is more of our dollars from a labor standpoint, of really maximizing LinkedIn. And, you know, I usually try to post every person in our company. Guys, if you have people in your company, it's really a team effort. I would tell, and it needs to come from your CEO down. Hey, when you see a post from someone on our team, everybody gobble up and project that post. You know, you'll see me reshare. If it's the company that I use, I'll often reshare their posts, because again, I live by the rule that I learned: people helping people. And that's one of my mottos, of just people helping people. And, you know, Roger, to answer that question, you know, I make fun videos on LinkedIn sometimes. You know, sometimes I'll make a video and not mention Blue Ridge, but the content will drive you back to Blue Ridge, whether I said it or not. So, you know, I think I see your post too, Roger. I think you do a fine balance of having fun and having some silly content, because again, people want to know you.
It's being authentic, because
Right.
a lot of I do a lot of fun posts on LinkedIn as well. And I mean, I did a segment of Where's Waldo? I wore a Waldo outfit and I went to communities and dropped off goodies. And did I post it? Yes, because you want that authenticity when you're doing it. You know, people are professional on LinkedIn. It's very much professional sound and mentality, but they also want to see a real you, because that's who they're going to work with. That's who they're going to get drawn to. And when I post my suits, my Where's Waldo, anything that I've done, it's on LinkedIn, because they know that my personality and my drive and my authenticity being real, that's what's drawing them to me. And like Michael said, to the company that I work for too. So, and that's kind of why I've also been able to gravitate like so many people on this call that are from all over the country and coming on here, because they're seeing, like Michael, the posts we do, how we interact, how we're staying connected with everybody, how we're keeping the conversations going. And it just draws that person to go, this person really cares. They're not just in it for a sale. You know, is that the end goal? Maybe, you know, it'd be nice, but the end goal really is for me is just to be, here's my heart. Like, I am real. This is who I am, like it or leave it. But this is who I'm going to be. And that's what people get drawn to.
Exactly. So we'll take some more questions real quick. And let me say this. Your homework is, obviously, if you don't have a LinkedIn, create one. Secondly, I want to see that 30-second video that you're going to post on LinkedIn about yourself. Hey, I'm Michael. Hey, I'm Deborah. I'm Cheryl. Hey, I'm Daniela, whatever it is. You're going to, do that. Do it. And then third, obviously, pick that book that you want to dive into. And then today, I want to encourage you to write one handwritten note to somebody that will make their day. And one other tip I want to tell you about LinkedIn, Micah would tell you the same thing. When you start posting, don't get caught up and worried about the numbers, right? Oh, I didn't get any. I hear a lot of people call me or say, man, I posted this post. I put a lot of time into it and a lot of creativity, and nobody even liked it. Don't worry about it. They saw it, right? So don't, again, it's that tough skin, right? Don't get caught up in the numbers. Julie asked, any ideas how to create your brand? How did you start? Again, the brand comes pretty fast if you just be yourself. I end every video. It's just because it was truly me. You guys will hear me say in every video, play like a champion. And people expect me to say that. People send me jokes about it. But that's truly what I believe when I post is play like a champion. Because if I play like a champion, and you guys know what that means, I'm going to do everything how I should do it. I'm going to be empathetic. I'm going to be friendly. I'm going to be kind. I'm going to make my sales quotas too, because I'm doing everything. What that really means at the street level, right? I'm going to do everything to the best of my ability. So if your personal brand is really who's at your core, and you just let that shine. But again, a lot of us can't, because you're fearful of this thing right here, the camera. So sometimes I just turn the camera on and forget that it's on, and just start talking, and I just edit out all that other craziness that you don't see. But just be yourself. All right, someone said, are you using LinkedIn to record your videos or your cell phone and then put video on LinkedIn? Great question. I use my phone directly, and there's lots of apps out there that will let you edit. I typically don't, because I feel like I have become less drawn to videos that are highly edited, because it's not the person, right? Micah doesn't edit his often. Because I'm not trying to create a production, right? I'm not trying to create a movie. I'm not trying to be a YouTube star or rock my int stuff. I'm just trying to talk to you. And so there are tons of apps that you can edit and add music and, people dancing around you. I have personally become drawn away from those. And so, Cheryl, I just use my straight iPhone, and I post it right up. I typically don't even edit anything on it.
So real quick before we go, Marriott and TD52878, if I don't have your name, I can't email you. So just keep that in mind. I don't know what Marriott.
Can you unmute me?
Yeah, you're unmuted.
So my dad gave me this laptop, and that's my maiden name. So instead of putting my whole name on there, he just put Marriott. My name is Jan Fentress.
Oh, yes. Okay, thank you.
Dan, I was hoping your name was Marriott, because I was about to say that's the badassest first name I've seen in a long time.
It is my maiden name, and I do know of a distant person that is named Marriott. It's a cool name. I almost named my son that, but instead he got it as a middle name. My ex-husband didn't like it.
When you go to the hotel, do you get mad respect?
Actually, it's kind of funny. My dad he was in business for years, and he would stay at different places, but lots of times he would get upgraded. I think they thought he was, secret shopping. And we do have a Marriott here in Virginia Beach, and I have them, one of the gals there, making masks for me with the Marriott name for my family. So
nice.
It's a cool name. If it wasn't for my kids, I would probably take that name back, but I don't want to disrespect the family.
Next time I stay at a Marriott, like next week, I may name drop you, then they might upgrade me.
Tell them Jan sent you. Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Jan. Thank you, Roger. I appreciate that. Yeah, my purple suit does get some attention. TD52878, I asked to unmute you. So if you want to unmute or at least chat who you are so I can make sure you're included in the email that goes out, that would be fantabulous. And then also Michael will, I'll have Michael email me or chat me the books, so I'll email that out. So if you weren't able to write those down, you will have that. I try to make this as simple and easy as process as possible because we're all busy. It's Friday, thank God. If there's no more questions or anything else, you will get Michael's contact info at the end of this call along with the recording. So just stay tuned for that later today. And then you will also get an invite by the end of the day for another virtual presentation Friday. For next Friday, we have Scott Moody with K4 Connect, who will be sharing about the advances of technology in senior living and how that's moving forward during and post-pandemic. So stay tuned for more on that. I will now stop the recording.